Okay, recording is started. Welcome, Thomas. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, can hear you. Hi, Taiwo.
Oh,
Hi, Kuma. Welcome.
okay, great. So, I guess we can start, right?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So, thank you so much for joining this section on getting started with Power BI. So, in this meeting, we are going to look at how we can begin our journey with Power BI and how we can clean, transform, and develop interactive dashboards using Power BI. So to get started, I will give a little bit background about me, and then we can zoom into the section. So my name is Thomas Festus Cudjoe. I'm a Microsoft MVP, and then the lead trainer at Firstman Learning Hub. So Firstman is an edutech startup company that provides digital skills training in data analytics, financial modeling, and UX design. Professionally, I'm also a chartered accountant, and I started using Power BI back then when I was on campus, and I've been using Power BI up to now. So this section will be an introduction to those of us who are yet to begin our journey in Power BI. So let's get started. Okay, so Power BI is a business intelligence tool that helps you to analyze and visualize your data and also get insight from your data. So if you have Excel, maybe spreadsheet or data, or you have data from a SQL server or any database, you can connect to it using Power BI and you'll be able to transform the data, shape it, model it, and then analyze it to get insight. Then Power BI also has advanced visualization capabilities that also helps you to get insight from your data and visualize the data on top of that. So we are going to start with the first stage. So when you're looking at Power BI, we are looking at either 5 or 4 stages, okay, depending on how you are looking at it. So the first stage is about getting data, because Power BI is not like a database or a spreadsheet where you already have the data you want to analyze. The data you'll be working with always will be external or will be outside. So it could be Excel workbook, it could be a database, it could be from online service, or it could be from the web or any cloud-based solution. Regardless of the source or where the data is coming from, Power BI has the capability to help you to connect to that data and get insight from that data. So the first stage is about connecting to data. Then after you have connected to your data, Power BI also has Power Query Editor that helps you to clean, transform the data before you start working with it. So using the Power Query Editor, you'll be able to perform some ETL operations on your data. Now, after you have cleaned and transformed your data, then your data will move from the Power Query Editor and then you move straight into the data model where you can model your data. So if you have multiple tables or data from different sources, you'll be able to model them as one system or as one database. So you'll be able to get insight from all these data sources. Then after modeling your data, you can also use DAX on top of the data to get some insight. Now, after you have added your calculations and everything using DAX, the next stage will be about visualizing your data, trying to use graphs and charts to tell story with your data so that your audience will be able to understand the story that you are trying to tell with your data. So Power BI has advanced visualizations that you can use to do all these. Now, apart from the standard or the native visualizations, Power BI also has a marketplace where you can go there and import other visualizations that are not available to you. And this gives you a lot of power over your data, trying to tell your story with your data and then do a whole lot of insight sharing. Now, after you have visualized your data, Power BI also allows you to publish your reports on Power BI Service, which is a cloud-based platform. So Power BI Desktop sits on your PC. So there are three things. You have Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service or Power BI Online, and Power BI Mobile. So Power BI Desktop sits on your PC and it helps you to connect to different data sources. Now, after you have developed your report, you also have the option to also publish it on Power BI Service or Power BI Online, and then you'll be able to share the report with other people. They also have Power BI Mobile, which also helps you to get insight from your data. So here, after you have published your report on Power BI Service, you can still access the report via your mobile phone. And that's where we have the Power BI Mobile. So let's get started by looking at how we can connect to data. So here I'll go to get data. And you'll be able to see some of the common data connectors that we have in Power BI. So you have Excel workbook, Power BI dataset, data flows, SQL Server, text or CSV. We have a whole lot of data connectors. So here I'm going to click on more. And here you'll be able to see all the data connectors. So here we have all, which you can take a look at all the data connectors. And you can see that we have a whole lot of them. Some of these data connectors may not be familiar to you, okay? But other people are actually using it to actually get insight from their data. But here you can see the various categories. So we have file, you'll be able to see the connectors that we have. We have database, so you can see some of the common databases that we have, either Microsoft SQL Server, Access or Oracle database. You also have Power Platform, Azure Online Services, and then others. So here you'll be able to see the other connectors, for example, from the web or from Google Sheets. So we recently had a connector where you can import data from your Google Sheet. Okay, but for this demo or for this section, I'm going to use Excel workbook. Okay, so I'm going to pick Excel workbook and then pick connect. So here I have to locate where I have my file. So I have it on the desktop and this is the data that I'm going to work with. So I'm going to select it and click open. So here you can take a preview of all the tables and all the sheets that we have within the workbook. So here you can see that some of them are tables and some of them are sheets. What happens is that when you connect to Excel workbook and you have tables, the table will be identified as one object and the sheet where the table is will also be identified as another object. So if you have tables, you are going to see the table itself and the sheet where the table resides. But always we recommend work with the tables. So here I'm going to select just the tables that I want to work with. So here I have cells, which, okay, let me select this and see. Okay, so this is the cells. So I'm going to select this. So here, down here, you see that we have three options. We have load, transform, and load, cancel. So here, if you don't want to import the data again, you can cancel the whole operation. If you want to load it directly into Power BI, then you can load it into Power BI. If you also want to transform the data, then you can use this option, which will direct you to the Power Query editor. So we always recommend, regardless of the nature of the data that you are working with, try to use this option and take a preview of the data before you load it into Power BI. Because when you load it into Power BI, it means you are ready to model the data and analyze it. And sometimes the data types and other things may not be in place. So you have to use this option to go and fix everything before you come into Power BI and start modeling or analyzing the data. So I'm going to use this option, transform data. So here it gives you the status of each of the data source that we are connecting to. So here we are within the Power Query. So here we are within the Power Query editor. So within the Power Query editor, you'll be able to transform and clean the data before you start analyzing it. So here you'll be able to see all the tables that we connected to, all the tables. So here, the first thing that you would need to do is to check the names of the queries or the tables. So here we have campaigns, dimensions table, the customers table, date, geography table, product table, and this is our source table. But here you see that this is table 4, which is not descriptive. If I want to rename this, I can double click on this and then give it a new name, which is sales. Here, this is my campaigns table. You see that we have added the dimension. I don't want the dimension. So there are two ways you can change the name. You can double click on it and then change the name, or you can select it. And within the properties options here, you can also change the name. Then you first enter. If you want to change this, you also come here and then change the name. So I'm going to remove all the dim as part of the names. Okay. So now you have it this way. Now, within the Power Query editor, you can perform a whole lot of transformations on your data, all trying to clean and make sure that the data is quality before you can start analyzing it. So the first thing that you'll be doing is to check the column data type. For each of the columns, you have to select one data type for each of them, depending on the content of the column that you are looking at. Is it a date? Is it a whole number? Is it a text? You have to make sure you pick the appropriate data type for that column. Because if you don't and you start analyzing your data, you may have issues. For example, if a date is formatted as a text, it means that if you want to do time-based calculations, like month on month, year on year, same period last year, all these are some of the calculations that we can do in Power BI. Now, because it's classified as a text, you'll not be able to get those insights. So you have to make sure you pick the appropriate column or the data type for that particular column. So if you take the campaigns table, you see that we have campaign ID, traffic channel, and then device. So it is, you see that preceding it, you have 1, 2, 3. This tells you that this is a whole number. You see ABC, this is a text. But when you click on it, you'll be able to see some of the data types that we have within Power Query or Power BI. So you have decimal, fixed decimal number, whole number, percentage, date or time, and all that. You have to make sure always your columns are having the right data types. And that's what the first thing that you even need to check. But after you have imported or connected to the data within the Power Query tries to detect the column or the data types for each of the columns. So sometimes it will do that for you automatically. Sometimes it will not be able to classify that particular column appropriately. So you'll be seeing 1, 2, 3, ABC. It tells you that there's no classification for that column. Okay. The other thing you also need to note is that within the Power Query window, as you transform your data, everything that you do is being recorded at apply steps. So you see apply steps. So here it tells you the steps that we have taken or the operations that we have performed on this data or this query. So here it started with source. So that's where we connected to the data. So if I want to know where this data is coming from, you see this J icon alongside the source or at the source. I can click on it and then it will let me know the file path of the data that I'm working with and then the file type. So I can cancel this. Now remember, after you connected to the data, we were directed to the navigator window where we selected the specific data that we want to work with, and that's the navigation. Then the next step is chain type. So here Power Query detected the column types or the data types for each of our columns. So you see chain type. So anything that you do here is being recorded at the apply step. So here, if there's something or any transformation that you perform and you want to reverse it, you have to come here and delete or remove that step. You can't hit Ctrl+Z to undo. For example, if I select this column, I right click and say remove. This column has been removed, and now you can see that our step has been increased by one additional step, and that is removed columns. So if this transformation that I just performed on the data, if I want to reverse it, I just click here, and now the data has been restored. There are a whole lot of transformations that we can perform on our data. Okay, now let's go to the date table. So first, I'm going to inspect the data types for each of the columns. So this is date. So you see this calendar icon. This is the month number. So this is 1, 2, 3, the month name and all that. What I want to do is to remove the other columns and leave just the date column, and then show you some of the things that we can do within the Power Query editor. So if I want to get rid of the other columns, it's very simple. I just select this, right click and say remove other columns. So when I hit on this, you see that the other columns have been removed, and now I have just the date column here. If I want to reverse it, you see that the step has been recorded here. So I can just remove it or delete it, and now all the columns have been restored. So I'll select this again, right click, and then remove other columns. So now we have our date column. If I want to extract the year, the month name, the day, the week, and everything, I can extract all of them from this. Okay, I won't write any formula or any function or any code. I can do it just using the interface of the Power Query editor. So I can select this column, and then I want to add the year, the month, and everything as new columns. So I'll go to add column, and then here we have from text, from number, from date and time. So because this is a date column, I'll come to from date and time, click on the drop down, and these are some of the components of the date that we can extract as a new column. So here, if I want to extract the year, I can click on this. This has extracted the year. If I want the month, I go to the month, and this will give me the month number. I can select it again, add column, date, month, and then name of month to be able to give me the name of the month. If I want other components, maybe the quarter, I can say, give me the quarter of the year to give me the quarter. So when you click on the drop down, you see that we have 1 to 4. So quarter 1 to 4. Okay. I can also select this, go to date, and go to day and say, give me the name of the day. So here, when you scroll to your right, see that we have the day of that particular date. So here we have from Monday to Sunday. So I can cancel this. So there are a whole lot of things that you can do within the Power Query editor, but I'm not going to cover everything. So these are some of the few things that you can do here. Let's go to our sales table. So here we have product ID, the date, and here you see that we have this column here. We don't need it. It doesn't have any values. So I can select this column and then remove it entirely from my table. So I can right click and say remove. Then I'll go here and then inspect each of my columns. Now everything is working perfectly. So I can go ahead and then load this data. So currently the data is not yet in Power BI. It's within the Power Query editor until we load it before it will go into Power BI, and then we can start the journey from there. The other thing that you also have to note about the Power Query editor is that every transformation that we are performing on our data, Power Query is writing or generating a code which is known as M code behind the scenes for us. So anytime you want to run the same operations again, we can make use of that code. So here on the Home tab, when I go to Advanced Editor, you see that these are the codes based on the transformations that we have applied on the data. These are the codes underlining the transformations that we have done. So here you see that we started from source, and it gives us the source of this query. Remember, we inserted month. It's added another line of code here, which is performing that operation. So what it means that if I get the same or similar data and I want to run this same transformation on the data, I can copy this code or this M code and paste it in the code for that particular editor, and I'll be able to rerun this. So for example, let me get in the data again. Okay, so I'll go to new source, Excel workbook. So right from here, right from the Power Query editor, if I want to get additional data, I'll be able to do that. So I'm going to connect to the same data, but I'm not going to bring in everything. I'll just bring in the date table. So this is the date table, and I'll click OK. So now we have this here. So we don't have, let me get rid of the other columns. So now let's assume that we just have this date. We want to extract all these components of the date. I can make use of the M code of this and apply it on this one to get the same thing. So here when I go to advanced editor, I can copy up to the point where I inserted the year. So I can copy from here. So Control C to copy. And then I'll go to this new query. And then I'll go to advanced editor. And you see the code here. I'm going to give out some space. And I'm going to paste the M code that I copied from the other query. Okay. And then I can paste it here. Now, there are a few things you need to understand about M code. I'm not going into depth about the M code, but there are a few things you need to understand. So this is how the syntax works. All the steps must end with a comma, with the exception of the last step. So if you remember, this was the last step before we pasted this. So the last step doesn't have any comma. Okay. The other thing is that it ends with in. After the in, you have to bring the name of the last step. So here, remember, this was the last step. So the name of this last step is here. And then the other thing that you also note is that for each of the steps, after it uses a function, it makes use of the previous step. So remember, the previous step here is inserted month. It has been referenced here. If you take this, the previous step before this is inserted quarter. Now you see that the name is here. So when you are copying and pasting the M code, these are some of the few things you need to understand. So this line, because this is not going to be the last line of code, we need to bring a comma. Okay, and there's this syntax checker here, which also prompts your attention to any errors that you might have within your M code. And here you have to make sure that this is the last step. So the name will also be here. Okay. And now if I click done, it's going to apply the same transformation that we applied to our first query here on this new data. So when I click done, you see that it has been able to add everything that we applied to the previous table or the query here. So if you want to automate your business processes and your data transformation, you can make use of the M code to transform or to automate your business processes. But now I'm not going to take you through M code, okay? Just an introduction to M code. So this one, I don't need it again, just for demonstration, so I can delete it. And now I have my tables here. Now the next stage is about loading the data into Power BI. So on the Home tab, you see Close and Apply. When you click on the drop down, you see the options. So you can decide to close, you can decide to apply, or close and apply. So I'm going to pick Close and Apply. So I'm going to connect to the Power BI. So now when we come to our Power BI, so now we come to Power BI, we see that on the right side, we have the field section and all the tables or all the queries that we're working with within Power Query, all of them are here. And then on your left side, you see that we have 3 views. By default, you'll be looking at the report view. We also have data view, which helps you to take a look at the data itself. So I can select each of my tables and I'll be able to take a look at them from here. And then there is this last view here, which is the model view. So now I click on model view. This is where you'll be able to perform your data modeling by creating relationships among the tables that we are working with. So here you see each of them. And then you can actually select each of them and then drag it. If you want to reposition it, you can do that. If you want to resize it too, you can also resize it. And within this window, I'll be able to model my data. Now, if you take a look at this, automatic relationship has been detected for us. So you see the lines linking the tables. This means that there's a relationship between the table or the tables. So this tells you that there's a relationship between the customers table and then the sales table, relationship between the product table and the sales table. So this is as a result of a setting. If not, we'd have to create these relationships manually. So when you go to File, and then you go to Options and Settings, now you go to Options. And then I go to Current File and then Data Load. You see that I have this option turned on, auto detect new relationships after data is loaded. So I have this option set on. That's why Power BI automatically detected new relationships as we load our data. But if this option were to be off, you wouldn't see any relationship among the tables. I have to keep everything manually. So after you load your data, Power BI will try to detect the relationship. And sometimes it might get it wrong just because 2 columns in the 2 tables are having the same name. It will try to create a relationship for you. So always, if you have that option on, you need to check if the relationship is accurate. Because if you don't check and then the mistake is not correct, the relationship is not correct, it might have impact on your analysis. So you need to always check that. So what I will do is to get rid of all these relationships. Okay. So we have our data here. So sometimes you have multiple tables that are connected or that are related, and that's where we need to create a relationship. So you'll be able to develop or get insight from all the tables that we have within our data model. So within this data model here, if I want to create a relationship, it's very simple. The first thing I need to do is to establish that there is actually a relationship between the 2 tables. And then I have to identify the field or the column that I want to use to relate the 2 tables. So if you take a look at our customers table here, this has information about our customers. So their names and their location. When it comes to the source table, we also have the customer's ID. But if I want to get other information relating to this customer, I can't get it from my source table. I have to relate it to a table which has that information that I need. So that if I want to slice and dice my data by customer, I can use any of the fields from this table. So first, I need to identify the column which exists in both tables. And here we have customer ID, and we have this customer ID here. So I can just select this, and then drag it and drop it on the column, which is the same as the one in the column that I have selected. So when I get to it, I just release my mouse key, and this will create a relationship between the customers table and the source table via the customer ID. Here too, we have product table, and here we have product ID. We also have product ID for each of our products. But here we can get other information relating to that product. When we check our sales table, we just have the product ID number. We don't know actually what product it is, what product category it is. We can't get that insight by relying on just the source table. We can get that insight from the product table. So to be able to do that and get those insights, we need to link the two tables. And we can do this using the product ID. So I can just match it on this. So this has created a relationship. If I also want to link the date and then the date of the transaction here with my date table or the calendar table, I can drag the date and map it on this. We also have campaign. So here we have the campaign's ID, which is the number. I don't need any other information. If I want to be able to slice and dice my data and then look at, okay, for each of the campaigns, for example, okay, what traffic channel are they using to buy our products? What device are they using? I will not be able to get that insight by relying on the source table. But luckily, I have the product ID, which has been used to reference the transactions in the source table. So I need to link these two. So if I need to get other insight, I'll be able to slice and dice the data using any of the fields in my campaigns table. So I can drag this and map it to this. And this will create a relationship for us. So for now, these are the relationships that we are going to create. So this will be behind or at the background of your Power BI report. And this is going to drive the performance of your Power BI report. So if your data model is not optimized, it's going to have a huge impact on the performance of your report. Okay, so you make sure any columns that are not needed, you can hide them. So here, if I don't need to make use of any, like the customer ID here, I can hide it. So when I go to my report view, I will not see it. So if I want to build my report, I can just focus on the columns that I need to build my report. So I can hide any column that I don't want. If there's any table and I don't want it to appear in my report view as I develop my report, you see this eye icon here. I can turn it off, meaning I want to hide it. And then I'll be able to hide it from here. So now I'm still working on the hiding of this column. When it's done, we move on to the report view and we can start working on our reporting. Okay, now you can see that the eye has been blocked, meaning that this column is hidden. Now, after modeling your data, we can move on to the report view and then we can start building or creating our report. Now, before then, you might also want to add some calculations on top of the data. And that's where you make use of DAX, data analysis expressions. That helps you to analyze the data, perform some business calculations in order to better understand and give insight or get insight from your data. So if you take a look at our sales table here, we have units sold. Maybe you want a calculation that will sum our total units. So to do this, we need to make use of DAX. Okay, so on the home tab, you see that we have calculations. So we have quick measure and we have new measure. So in Power BI, there are three ways that we can use DAX. We can use DAX in creating calculated tables or calculated columns, or we can use it in creating measures. Okay, so if you want to add calculated column, for example, if I come to my source table and I want to add a new column, here within the column tools, you see that we have new column. This is a calculated column. Okay, so we are looking at a calculation which is coming from a DAX or a column which is coming from a calculation. So that's why we call it a calculated column. So here maybe you want to insert a new column which is going to multiply the units sold by 50%. I can say maybe unit 2, and this is equal to the unit column. So you see that the name of the table will come open square bracket and the name of the column. And here I want to multiply this by 0.5 and then press enter. This will insert a new column And this column is a calculated column. It's a column which is coming from a calculation. We can also create our own calculated table using DAX. So here, when I go to table tools, so that I have new table, I can create a new table. So here, maybe I want to get a calendar table. I can make this calendar or date table. That's what we refer to most of the time. And here I can use one of the DAX functions, calendar auto, that will automatically generate some series of dates based on the minimum and maximum date within my data model. So within my data model, if there are date columns, it will pick the minimum one, the maximum one, and generate series of dates between that range for us using the calendar auto. When I use calendar auto like this, then I just close it. There's no argument. And I press enter. This is going to generate series of dates as a table. And here this becomes part of my data model. So here you see that I have this as part of the tables. So this is also a calculated table. Then the last way that we can use DAX is to create a measure. So here I'm going to create a very simple measure, which is going to sum our unit sold column. So here I'll go to new measure. So now you see that the formula bar has been activated where we can write our measure here. So unlike the calculated columns and then the calculated tables where we can see the data physically, when you hit a measure, you don't actually see the values unless you start building the report or the dashboard. So here I'm going to hit a measure. The name will be total orders, and this will be equal to sum. So I want to sum my unit column within my source table. So I have to bring the name of the table first, and then I can see all the columns. So I want to sum the source table, the unit column. That's what I want to sum. Then I'll press enter. And this will give me the total orders. So if I drag this onto the canvas, I'll be able to see the value here. Okay, so let me turn this into a card. And now you can see the value here. There's so many formatting options I can apply to this. So I'll take you through the visualization shortly, but I just want to use to demonstrate the measures. So here with the display unit, I'm going to pick none and make sure that this measure is formatted properly. So I'll select it. You see the measure tools. I can apply any formatting to this. So here we have our total orders. So I can resize this and position it at where I want it to be. Okay, so this is an example of a measure. So these are the calculations that we add to our data to get some insight. Now, after you have added your DAX measures and all your calculations, the next stage is about developing the report or visualizing your data. So within this report view, you see the visualizations pane. you'll be able to see all the visualizations that are supported within Power BI. So these are the native or the traditional visualizations that are available. If you don't have access to any of the visualizations, maybe there's a particular visualization that you have in mind, but you don't have access to it here, you can click here and you have this option to get more visuals from Marketplace. So here you'll be able to access some other custom visualizations that have been developed by third-party developers. And then some of them are certified by Microsoft, so it means you can use them. Some of them are free, some of them to have some premium packages that you can also subscribe to. But I'll not go into the custom visualizations. So let's see how we can visualize our data using the visualizations here. So here, if you want to make use of any of the visualizations, for example, if you want to visualize the data using a card, when you hover your mouse over any of them, you see the name. This is a card. So this is used to display a single number, just like our total unit. So I can just click on it. You see that it appears on the canvas. Then after you have inserted it, you see that below the visualization pane, you have fields. So that's what we use to populate this. So if I want this to show me my total orders, I look for my total orders measure, and then I drag it and drop it into the field. And now this will show it on the card. If I want to insert, for example, a column chart, I just come in here and I look for a stack column chart or maybe a clustered column chart. I can just click on it. It appears here. I can resize it. Then I need to customize the fields. So what do I want it to be on the axis? My axis, I want to use the campaigns device. So I drag this into the axis. Now you don't see anything. Now, what values are we visualizing? We are visualizing our total orders. So I drop it here. And now you can see the total orders for each of our device. So what we want to do is to visualize our total orders by device. And you can see it from here. I can put it or resize it nicely here. The other way of creating your visualization is just to select the fields that you want to use. And Power BI will look at the data and then pick the appropriate visualization for you. But if you want to change it, you can also change it. So here, if I want to visualize my traffic channel by total orders, now this has created a table. And here, I can also resize this and then reposition this somewhere. If I don't want this and I want to change it, I have to make sure I select it or I activate it. And then I go to my visualizations and I can pick any of the visualization I want to use instead of the table. So here, if I want to use, for example, a pie chart or a donut chart, I can click on it. You see that this will change into the visualization that we select. If I want to change this into a bar chart, I can change it into a bar chart. Now you can see it this way. Okay. Maybe I also want to visualize our total orders by years. So I can go to my date column and then just pick the year. And now you see something here. The year has been added to the values. So you see the two items. So we have the year and then the orders. Now I don't want it this way. I want the year to be in the axis. So I can put this into the axis and now you'll be able to see the report this way. So let me bring this one here. I'll bring this one also here. Maybe I want to use a line. I have to make sure this is activated. Then I pick a line chart. This will show everything in the form of a line chart. Okay, but let's make use of the clustered column charts here. Then maybe you also want to look at our total orders by month. I can go to my orders and then pick my month. This one is the month number. Let's make use of the month name. And now when you resize this, you see that we have a problem here. The data is not sorted by month properly. If I want to sort it by month, I can click on this ellipsis. And you see that we have sort axis. Now the sort axis is at total orders. I want to change it to month name. So I can pick month name. But still, when you take a look at this, you can see that the month name is not in proper order. That's where within the data view, let me go to my date. You can actually select, this one is sorting it based on just the name of the month. But I can say that no, don't sort it using the actual values. Sort the month's column using the month number, which is a different column. So I can select this, and you see that sort by column is here. I can click on the drop down and see that the sort by column is the month, which is the month number. So if it's 1, it's going to put January 1st. If it's 2, it make it what, February. So now when you go to our data, you can see that it has been sorted in the right order, but this is in descending order. So I can click on the drop down and then here pick what's ascending. And now you see January, February, then you'll be able to see the trend within our data. So here, if I want to put it into a line chart, I can also pick a line chart and you'll be able to see the trend. Okay. Now for each of the visualizations, you also have the option to customize them. So for example, if I select this, let me collapse this pane. If I select this, and then within the visualizations, you see this format your visual pane. I can click on this and I can apply so many formatting to this. For example, I want to turn on data labels. You see data labels options. I can turn it on and now you'll be able to see the values on top of each of the series. If I want to format it, I can expand this formatting pane. And then you can also change the position. Maybe you want it to be vertical. You see it vertically. I'm going to pick horizontal. That is the best option. The values, if I want to also format the values, maybe I want to increase the values. I can also use this option here to increase the values. The display units, you see that they are in millions. If I don't want to display it in millions, I can pick none. And this will show the raw values. If I also want to change the color, I can also change the color from here. Okay, but let's stick with the default color. And then if I also want to customize the background of the data labels, I can also turn on the background and you see how it looks like. So now let's go to the values, okay? Because of the size, some of them are not showing. So we can go with the display unit, maybe thousands, and you'll be able to see the values from here. If I also want to change the bar colors, here you see that we have columns. I can expand it and you see the default color. If I want to change the color, I can change it from here, or I can pick any of the colors that are here to visualize my data. I can also select this, and if I want to also format it, I come to my colors. I can also change the default color. I can also select this and also change the default color, but you have to make sure you ensure consistency, okay? I can also select this, and it also has its own formatting. So depending on the visualization that you are using, you see different formatting. So here I can turn on the markers, and you see the markers here. I can also go to the line, and then here you can also increase the line, or maybe you want to use dashes instead of lines. You can also use it this way. If you want to customize the color, you can also change the color from here. Okay, so there are so many options. If you go to analytics, when you have a line, you see that you have different options. If I select a clustered column chart, you see this. Okay, so here you can add minimum line, constant line, average line, median, or percentile line. All these are some of the formatting that you can add to your visualizations. Okay, I'm not going to cover everything here, but I want to show you one of the AI visualizations, which is Q&A. So it makes use of machine learning and AI to help you to query your data using natural language. So here you see that we have Q&A here. So this helps you to ask questions using natural language, and you'll be able to get answers in the form of a visualization. So here I can say show total orders by device. Okay, so when I pick this, is that it has come up with a visualization. So if I want to use this visualization on the report, then there's this option here to convert this into a standard visualization. So when I click on this, this comes up with a standard visualization that I can use as part of my report. So here I didn't drag and drop anything. I just used natural language and I was able to come up with this visual. So Q&A is very powerful. Just that the query or the language or the terms that you are using must be something within your data model. If you ask something and it's not able to identify any column by that name, it will not give you that particular insight. So you also have to take note of this when you are asking questions about your data. So we use this to give our users the option to also query the data and ask their own questions rather than providing them with all the insights. You can provide them with a Q&A visualization for them to ask questions using natural language, because some of them might not be familiar with the data model. So they ask simple questions. Okay, what's our total revenue by month? What's our total revenue by quarter? What's our total revenue by year? You'll be able to get all these insights using the Q&A visualization. Now, after the report is developed, you need to, you have to save it first before we start building the report. So let's save this. So let's say Azure Nigeria, and I'm going to save this. Now, after the report is developed, you might want to publish it on Power BI service so you can easily share the report with others. There's this option here, publish, but you have to make sure you have signed in into your account. So here I can click publish. This will enable me to publish this report on Power BI service. And this will enable me to share the report with other people. So here I have to select the workspace. Okay, so within the Power BI service, we work with workspaces. So I want it to be at my template workspace. So I'll select it and then click select. So this is going to publish the report onto Power BI service. And then I can go there and then maybe perform additional visualizations or analytics. And if I want to share the report with others, I'll be able to share it from them. This might take some time before it will get published. Okay. So that's it. So this will enable you to publish the report on Power BI service, and you can share this report with others. So let's see if you'll be able to get or be able to publish this as quickly as possible. Then I'll show you some few things there. If not, then I would have to pause here because this might take some time. Okay. So now it gives us an error. It hasn't been able to publish this. Okay. But no problem. Let's click OK. And then I'm going to open to my browser. And then let's see how we can take it from there. So, okay. So since my browser is working, so let me do a new share. Okay. So now this is the Power BI service or the Power BI online. So you see the home tab and then other things. These are my workspaces. So here, if I also want to create a report, I can go to Kit and I'll be able to create a report from here. So here you can make use of a published data set or you can paste data manually. Now, when I go to my workspace like this, I can also get in the Power BI report that we have worked on and then import it into Power BI service. So I'm going to pick report. Okay, to lead me to this side. Now let me import the PBIX file. Okay, so I'll select this. And then I want to get it from my desktop. So I'll go to local file and then locate where we have, I don't remember where we say, okay, we have it here. So this is the Power BI file that we are working on currently. So I want to import it to Power BI service and then continue with the work from here. This is also taking some time. Okay, let me cancel this and then make use of some of the sample files that we have here. So this is a sample Power BI file. So let me connect to this. Provided this will also not take some time. I just want to show you how the Power BI service also looks like. Right there. Okay, I have some other files here, other reports that I already have within this space. Okay, let's wrap up here. Since my network is not strong enough to let us go to the Power BI service, okay? But it's the cloud-based version of the Power BI desktop. You can create your report. You can also share the report with other people within the space. So you just search for Power BI, and then it will direct you to the page. And here, what you need to do is to start for free. So you need to get an organizational account or a student account, and you'll be able to set up an account. Okay, so you just go to start for free. If you already have an account, you can just sign in straight, and you'll be able to access some of the functionalities that we have within the Power BI service to develop dashboards and reports and share it with other people. So that's why I'm going to end this section. Thank you so much. So CJ, you can take over. I don't know if you are going to take some questions. Yeah, Chugo, you can take over. Okay, guys, so if anyone has any questions, you can either use the chat or you can unmute your mic and then speak as well if you have any questions. So I believe there are no questions, so we can wrap up this section here. So guys, thank you so much. Okay. CJ, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now, Thomas?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Was a really nice section. Was very nice. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Taiwo, Bernard, Felix, any question? I guess not. Thomas, sorry for the inconvenience with the timing. So I got confused because your time was in GMT, and Amsterdam time and Nigerian time are the same. So I got it mixed up. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish you a nice Saturday evening, and yeah, anytime you want to invite me to your event or something, feel free. I'll be there. I'll be talking about
Okay, sure.
Azure Cloud. We do Power BI is part of the Azure family, so the SaaS part of Azure. So most people doesn't know that. You know that when you tell Power BI runs on Azure, they don't believe it. It's the SaaS solution of Azure. You know,
Okay, that's
everything
nice.
runs on Azure. Yeah, Power BI is the SaaS solution of Azure. Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And guys, enjoy your evening. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you.
Ciao. Bye bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao. Bye.